Toastmaster. Fellow Toastmasters, welcome guest. It is my honor to introduce you today to Tillie Lewis. She was the most famous woman in her time period from 1934 to 1977 in her death, at least one of the most famous. Tillie Lewis was the first female captain of industry, creating an agricultural and canning empire that would eventually become one of the 5th largest industrial canning operations in the world. Tillie was the first woman to not only shatter the glass ceiling, but to completely ignore it altogether. What Tillie Lewis did is she planted a very special Italian tomato in Stockton, California in 1934. In 1935, during a tremendous heat wave, her tomatoes were nearly completely destroyed. And what she did is she took a think walk. The tomatoes are being destroyed on the exterior of the plant, and Tillie walks outside and decides, well, her world's over. The tomatoes are going to be gone. What do you do? She looked out and she noticed that there was a spur, a line of railroad tracks that came straight up to the plant. And she thought, we have copper kettles that are run by steam. We have a train that's run by steam. She went back inside and she said, guys, can you hook up a generator that will come inside the plant, hook to the steam from the train, and save the pack? And they said, we don't know. Can you get the trains? Well, she called up the Southern Pacific and said, what would it take to get a couple of trains on the spur? And they said, Mrs. Lewis, $7. And she said, I'll take 3. And it's that she discovered that nothing could not be done. Everything was possible if you just thought about it. And then the next thing she thought about was how to become as rich as she possibly could. She decided to ask the company, the people, what do we do? What are you thinking about? What are your thoughts? How do you participate in this plant? How do you save your own job? We're in trouble. And one gentleman said, well, you know, I've been home thinking about creating products for diabetics that taste good. And she said, diabetics, just diabetics? How about we make it a diet? Go ahead and give it a go. So he went home and talked to his wife, who was a master in food creation, and they came up with a product called the Tasty Guide, the first American Medical Association approved diet products in the world. It made her a multi-millionaire. And she contacted some of her friends that she met during the Ziegfeld Folly days. Jimmy Durante, Fanny Bryce, Lucky Luciano, a few of those guys. And she fed them all Tasty Guide. And she did it with the panache of, well, this is how she showed up in Stockton, California in 1934, when everybody else is in a house dress. Tillie dressed like a movie star, behaved like a movie star, and Stockton despised her upon sight. She was from New York. She was Jewish. She was poor as a church mouse. She determined not to ever be that way again. So when she came here, she dressed like this. Within a few weeks, she dressed down to what the other ladies in Stockton did. But nonetheless, every chance she got, she would dress up like that. And she would come out on the plant periodically and stand next to her ladies on the line, and she would roll up her silk sleeves, take off her gloves. She had giant, huge diamonds on her fingers, and she'd stand next to the other ladies on the line, and she would start to peel tomatoes. And the other gals that had been there a while knew the shtick. So they'd wait for the new girl to say, Mrs. Lewis, what in the world are you doing? And she'd say, I'm peeling tomatoes, dear. She said, but Mrs. Lewis, you're going to ruin your things. And she said, darling, what do you think paid for these things? So she had an affinity, a love relationship with her workers that followed her beyond the grave. So I ended up, luckily, with products, even her lingerie. So I know in 1934 when she opened that plant, while other people were wearing Hoover flags. For those of you who don't know what those are, that's your pockets turned inside out because you're so poor you don't have any money. Tillie Lewis was wearing diamonds, furs, and Lily of France lingerie underneath because I have it. A lady called up and asked me after I knocked on the mansion door if I wanted to come up and pick up some of her things. In 2006, I didn't realize what that meant. It was a bag full of Lily of France from the 1930s and 1940s. No, I'm not wearing them today. Yes, I have tried them on. In such, Mrs. Lewis, by the end of her life, became the most famous woman in foods. The stories are fabulous, from the mob involvement in her plant to creation of products, purchasing an island to grow various products such as asparagus, to pineapple piracy. Wonderful stories that go on and on and on that create Mrs. Lewis as one of the most interesting women I have ever heard of in my life. So through her book, through my book rather, and through the stories I have about her, I am hoping to bring her back into her rightful place in history, because I'm sure you've never heard of her. And I appreciate your kind attention. Thank you.